Now, please welcome Mr. Nathan Koh, founder of Chinese Ancestry Research and Genealogy Advisor to GSS. With Nathan today are two of his Chinese Ancestry Research experts, Ms. Sharon Toh and Mr. Albert Ang. What began as a small Facebook group in 2023, just 2 years ago, has grown purely through word of mouth into the world's largest English language platform for Chinese genealogy. Correct? Okay, good. With nearly 25,000 members worldwide, Chinese Ancestry Research helps people who may not speak Chinese or know where to begin to reconnect with their ancestral villages and rediscover cultural identity. Nathan will share real-life case studies of tracing family lines across continents and generations. His work combines traditional records with digital tools and deep cultural insight. Please welcome Mr. Nathan Koh.
Thank you very much. We're nearing 26,000, by the way, probably this weekend. Hi. Welcome to this session. Today I'm going to talk about leaving no stones unturned, but I'm going to do something different. I don't want to just go and lecture, say, okay, do this, number 1, number 2, number 3, but I will tell you a story. I'll tell you a story of my own personal search, and in between, you'll pick up the lessons from there, right? Now, before I start, I'd like a show of hands to see how many people are members of Chinese Ancestry Research Group. Wow. Thank you for supporting, right? Like I said to Catherine earlier, we are nearing 26,000 members. 25,000 is like information from 2 weeks ago, something like that. Okay, so let me begin. Now, what does leaving no stones unturned mean? Maybe my definition is a bit different from yours. It actually means acting on those whispers, the little clues that you had. Maybe you wake up in the morning, you're passing by, let's say going to the market, you're thinking about your ancestors, and then hey, how about this clue, right? Do something about it. So let me share with you a short version of my own ancestral search journey. It starts with a gentle whisper. In 2012, September, it's Dad's 3rd death anniversary. So Dad whispered, hey, why don't you write something? So I decided, okay, there's not much I remember, but I will write it down. So I wrote a story about how and when my dad moved to the Philippines from Fujian. So I wrote it down, simple, 1 article. So lesson number 1, whispers. Like dreams are fleeting. If you don't write them down, you lose them forever. So this is what I wrote, basically, in a shortcut. In 1937, when the war clouds slowly drifted towards southern China, Grandpa decided to take action. He uprooted his eldest son, my father, from their sleepy village in Fujian to what was deemed a safer refuge, Manila, Philippines. Now, how I see genealogy differently from others is that it's not in a silo. You have to take the historical context, right? In 1937, Philippines was a US territory, peaceful. In China, the Japanese were invading, moving down south. So who moves away first? The people with the ships, right? People in Fujian. So when I was writing that, I said, hey, wait, what's grandpa's name in Chinese? I don't know. So I asked my aunt. This is my maternal aunt, and she happened to know, right? So Aunt Lily knew. So I talked to her. I got the name. I wrote it down in a Facebook page. Just like that, right? So the lesson number 2 here is whispers reveal glimpses. Elders fill in the gaps. Don't hesitate to ask any elder. Even in this case, right? I'm looking for my paternal grandfather, but my aunt knew because my grandfather ran a small mom and pop shop store that is near where they live. So they probably passed by there and so on. So what happened? The next day, I got this message from a friend. In fact, my high school friend. He said, "Hey, Nathan, based on your grandfather and your father's name, we could be distant relatives." Right? This is the guy who challenged me to a fist fight in the 4th grade. Right? Huh? And then he said, "Look at this locket, in his chest." It was a brass plate with a rooster biting on an arrow. He says, "Look at this. That's me. That's my mother. The chicken is my mother. If she hadn't held me back, I would have beaten the shit out of you." Okay? So, okay, fine, right? So he wrote back. He's now in the States. So whispers beget whispers. This is lesson number 3, right? Spoken in the same dialect. Right? People who speak the same language as you, they probably know more about your clan history, your family history, right? So in this case, this guy is my clansman. So what did he reveal? Wow, the ancestral poem, right? So in case those of you who don't know what an ancestral poem is, picture this, right? Chinese names, you have 3 words. First is a surname, then the second word is a ancestral poem name. That is the generational name. So in this case, you see this part in red. Xing is my grandfather's generation. Neng is my father's generation. And I'm supposed to be Chun because my father probably didn't see the need, or maybe the tradition is lost, so I wasn't really named after that. But at least now I know I'm Chun. Now, about this ancestral poem, it's a bit different from what most clans get. Most clans have a body of elders to decide, okay, our poem is finishing, let's think of another one. This poem, it's 100 words, and it's chosen because this was personally composed by the Kang Emperor and gifted to one of my ancestors. His name is Shi Lang. He basically invaded Taiwan, which made Taiwan part of China in 1683. He was the one who defeated Zheng Chenggong's Gokxing's grandson and took Taiwan to become part of China. So he's my distant great grandfather. In Chinese, they call it 鼻祖, nose ancestor. Now, so lesson number 4, when whispers arrive as poetry, be the poet, sing the verse, follow the lines of the ancestral poem, and you will definitely find more kin. So fast forward, 3 years later, 2015, in July, whispers led me to a cemetery. All is not well. I tried to find my grandfather's grave, didn't find it, but I knew the approximate area. It was bad, right? Sewage water passing by, stinky. I said, no. Let's move him. So we moved him to a different cemetery. So, not long after that, Grandpa smiled at last. You may be wondering how, right? First, found a real photo. Only photo I ever saw of my grandfather. So on a visit to the Philippines, my mom was there. She took out her legendary 3 luggage fulls of fan mails and all that, right? But my mom's another story, right? Maybe next year I'll tell the story. But among this, there's a water-soaked photo of my grandfather. This was in 2015. I said, wow, right? It's literally wet. No? And also, there's a return address. How? Look at this photo. Top part is entirely damaged. So what did I do? Modern technology, digitally reconstructed. Right?
Look like your grandfather.
Okay, so why a return address? Not long after I received this message from a friend, he said, I dreamed about it. Your ancestor reminded me. I mean, literally. I asked him to help me find my grandfather's tombstone, in the cemetery. So he went and looked. So there's no tombstone because my dad basically took out my grandfather's remains for bringing back to China. But something didn't go right. So at the time, he wasn't well already. So just put it back. So no problem. Why? It's the cemetery ledger, right? So don't just go look for tombstones. You buy the register at the cemetery, buy her lunch, give her a gift, right? And if you have money, he said, this is what I'm looking for. If you can find it, I'll give you an iPhone. You see if you will try or not. Okay? So here is my grandfather, right? On the left side. And guess what? There's Min, shortcut for Fujian. If you've been following my Facebook post, I wrote about this. Min is a short name for Fujian. Jinjiang, Guanping, that's a village. And this word you cannot find anymore because this is an obsolete word. And even if you look for this village, you won't find it because they changed name. Okay? Now, but what's amazing about Fujian is the name never changed. Why? The sound is always the same. In Hokkien, Minnan Hokkien, basically there's not all words have an equivalent Chinese word. So in this, the village name is Guapi. So the new words are Kanping. Totally different 2 words. But in Hokkien, it sounds the same. So cemetery records are not just about tombstones. Move forward, May 2016, an unrecognized whisper cries out for help. How can we not help? So we searched. So what happened is this. I got a call, or rather a message from a newspaper publisher in the Philippines. He says, hey, some stranger looking for her father-in-law's long-lost brother, lost in the 1960s, and she only had a photo of a boy with 4 sisters taken in the early 1940s. How can we find, right? I said, okay, fine. Let's look for it, right? So what I did was I helped translate that advertisement in Chinese to English because in my view, many people don't read Chinese anymore. I posted in my another Facebook page. And apparently, another friend, the same friend who helped me find my grandfather's gravestone, he apparently is crazy about gravestone, like Raymond here, right? So he went and looked, and he found the gravestone. And from there, we found the relatives, and not just one, not just two. He found that, in fact, the deceased person has another 8 or 9 siblings that they were not aware of, and their spouses and their children. So we found over 100 souls. So this lady, Wang Meifang from China, wanted to help her father-in-law, right? So I mentioned about this. So through a little help, this was her original advertisement. This is the brother with a letter of half-written address in Chinese. So this is what I did, little thing, spent a few minutes. There, gravestone of the guy and his parents. In 6 weeks, found out. So there's the reunion. There's the list of brothers and sisters, right? So how many? 19. 19 siblings. So this is the father-in-law that was looking. This is the guy, the Filipino guy who was searching. He studied Chinese just for reading tombstones. And this photo on the upper right is the family visiting China. This was like, I think last year or the year before last year. So the whole family kept in touch, right? So this lady here, she was the one who reached out. So reunited. Now, moving fast forward another year, 2017 February, I heard another whisper, this time from grandma. So, I only know how to do Facebook, so I wrote an article. And it reminded me of my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins. Because in 1986, I went with my father to China for the first time and visited my aunt and my grandma. 1986, so long ago. And we have lost touch since my father passed away in 2009. So where are they now? This was the photo I posted. I wrote about grandma. So whispers spark memories. Fragments form a puzzle. Every lead matters, right? So this is the lead on grandma. So in 2017, March, April, around that time, heard another whisper from a stranger. A village lost to time. So this stranger went to this village, knocked about at around a dozen different doors. Is this the one? So what the stranger did was spoke to the resident. So the old gentleman looked at Wang Meifang, doubting her. Excuse me, how can I be sure you're not a scammer? Yeah? So what happened is this. This was the lady. She was in this car. She drove from Xiamen about 3-4 hours to my village, which she got from Eduardo, from that cemetery ledger, without informing me that she's going there. Hunted down and found my uncle, this guy, right, who is my dad's cousin, first cousin. So what uncle did was, of course, doubt. What happened was Huang Meifang kept on convincing him, your relative from Philippines looking for you, yeah, until she ran out of stories. But she remembered from what I did to help her, she put together a book to remember by the her own search. And this was the book. And here's my photo with my Chinese name. So she brought out this book and said, yeah, this is this guy. So my uncle said, Shi. At least that sounds familiar, right? But not named after a generation poem. So my uncle called his son who works in the city. Hey, come home. Somebody claiming to be relative is here. So he went back. They looked at the Zupu together. And there, my name is already registered in a Zupu. Right? My name, my brother's name, my father's name, although some parts are empty, but our names were there. He said, oh my gosh, right? This is the family we lost. We thought forever lost. Suddenly just found. So they messaged Eduardo from the instruction of my uncle. It doesn't matter what you do, you get Nathan back. Right? So, lesson 7, right? Ancestors whisper to each other, even beyond life. Echoes of kindness gets around. So, May 2019, the whispers became a journey. No longer a search, but a homecoming. The names matched, the stories aligned, they were always family. So this is my visit to Shaman. So I'll go over a little bit longer here, right? Here in the top is me standing in front of a house. I was told that this is the house where my father grew up in. Right? We don't own the house, but this is ancestral house. Okay. After I came back to Singapore, I did a research on this house, who owned it, based on actually a lot of things can be derived if you look carefully, right? So in this house there are cement kind of plates with carvings and all that. So I realized that the house was 100 years old. And me putting together the tree, I kept building on the tree. Remember, just me and my father and my grandfather. So I built the tree. I found the relatives who own this house. Apparently, they left. They earned money. They maintained the house. They opened it up to poorer relatives. So 4 families live in that house, right? Split into 4 rooms. I went in fact, it was quite run down. The roof has collapsed. But I did see what my father's room looked like. On the right here, I believe this is my great-great-grandfather's grave. I never knew them at all and didn't really expect a grave to be there. Down here is me, my mom, my uncle. This is the younger brother of my father. My 2 cousins. It's my aunt. This is my cousin. This guy and this lady, and this is his wife, right? So I visited the ancestral hall, lighted incense. So my uncle said to the elders, he recited out their names. Said, now the descendant is here to pay his respects. This is visiting my cousin's house. This is the gravestones where I lighted incense. This is the uncle who found me, basically, through Miss Huang. And there's Miss Huang. I managed to meet her for a few minutes. So not every fire starts with a spark. Sometimes it's just a whisper, time just right, that lights the way home. Now, fast forward November 2023. At 95, aunt was animated. So what happened in November 2023? I had to go to Xiamen. And I decided to go on a vacation to northwestern Fujian in a place called Wuyisan. It's quite an interesting, very beautiful, scenic place. So I went there for a vacation. But just before we went, I realized that it's actually bordering the province to the north, Jiangxi, and it's about half an hour away by normal train. And in China, normal train means 300 kph from my aunt's house. So I said, hey, maybe I'll drop by. So I went to see my aunt. She's at 95, hard of hearing, but her mind is still very clear. So I took the opportunity to ask her all about Dad. When my dad was a little boy, they were playing together, how they reconnected after the Second World War. So basically they lost touch during the war, and they only reconnected around early 1960s. Somebody visited my aunt at the hospital where she worked and showed her a photo. Do you know this guy? That's my brother. Okay? So imagine they lost touch with each other for 15, 20 years. But what was amazing was aunt was able to tell me all the things that I never knew about Dad. Dad didn't tell us too much what he did. What I found out was he once disappeared for 3 days and 3 nights during the Second World War to hide from the Japanese. Okay, I guess he's maybe kind of an informer or something like that in his teens, right? My aunt told me the family story where grandpa died. She's the only daughter. Grandma wasn't making any living. So she said she had to sell all her jewelries, whatever she had. For what? She put herself through medical school and she became a surgeon in China in the 1960s. Right? So I thought my dad was tough, right? My aunt is even tougher. So she told us a lot of stories. 3 hours, right? That's all the time I had visiting them. But I promised her, I'll be back for your 100th birthday, right? So in that 3 hours, Grandpa truly smiled this time. Okay, in those 3 magical hours, it seems like my dad just came back to life because their personalities are so similar. Their features are similar, the way they talk, right? So before I left, right, I felt Dad lived once more. But look, so this is my aunt, my cousins, 2 of my cousins, and they showed me the photo of my dad. So they really treasure the photos that we have sent to them 20, 30, 40 years ago. And you probably know this, right? Digitally enhanced. And I found the original. Right? So Grandpa finally smiled. Right? So the journey, once it starts, it never really ends. It just keeps going. So I plan to go back every once in a while. If I go to Fujian, Jiangxi, right? If you haven't really got in touch with family in China, You should. Because most of the time, they will welcome you more than your cousins in the next street that you live in, right? You know, in my case, I visited my cousins. Hotel is all paid. Buffet lunch or a dinner that is more than 3 days what you can eat. So I tried to pay them back. They refused, right? But I thought, if they come to Singapore, I'll be broke. So I had to go out in the middle of the night, try to find an ATM machine in China, withdraw money, and the next day my cousin was driving us around. I had to sneak the money into a CD case, sneak it back into the car compartment, right? And then after I left, I said, "Hey, you have this CD, right?" He said, yeah. I said, "Yeah, go check it out," right? So what did I do after I came back, right? I have this tupu that was shown to me by my family. And before I met them, I never even dared to dream that we have a tupu. And my uncle showed me these two different versions. Now, I would call this chapu because it's the one that is closest to me, right? Immediate grandfather, great grandfather. These two, or rather these three on the left, it dates back to the 18th century. My ancestor 9 generations back. So if I trace back, I'm the 25th generation of my clan. I'm actually of the Shi clan. Xi Shi the Shi. Anyone has ever heard of Xi Shi? Raise your hand. Okay, in case those of you who don't know Xi Shi, she's one of the 4 most beautiful women in ancient Chinese history, right? In all history, 5,000 years, right? And she's my ancestor. Okay?
No wonder you are so good.
So when somebody, I'll just take this to also add to what Eric has taught us earlier, right? When somebody says, yeah, you're 25th generation of your clan, that doesn't mean you're really the 25th generation. Like in my case, that's only the generation starting from where your ancestors settled in Fujian or Guangdong. So I'm the 25th generation from the first guy who settled in Fujian. My clan is called Xunhai. But what's before that, right? I'm sure they have some records. Now, so coming back to this tupu, I said, okay, I got 9 generations back. It starts generation 16. So what's after that, right? What's before that, rather? Luckily, a friend of mine gave me this. This is more of the general tupu, for the whole clan. And for this one, this was compiled in 1960, apparently by a forward-looking relative who foresaw the trouble in China. Great leap forward, Cultural Revolution. So before that, he wrote to every village in Fujian that has a shi, say, hey, send us your jiapu. So they compiled the jiapu in the Philippines at that time, so put here. So from there, and also from my own research, asking my clan members, fellow people from the same clan, remember generational poem? This is my concise tree, okay, concise. It's about 300 names. My name is here. Remember, I just knew my father, not even my grandfather. So now I have this whole thing. This part on the left is more focused on the last 8 generations. Now, in that book from the previous slide, there's the whole tree from generation 1 to 1820, right? Somewhere there, right? I used to go on the internet, right? We have some fascination with like royal family. Oh, this is the, family tree of, King Charles, right? Wow, 2 pages, so long. For my tree itself, if you put together this last 20-something generation, including me, just with that book alone, which ends like 7, 8 generations before me, it's 125 pages long. Okay, that's not include. So if I were to put a tree together, it will probably have about 1 million or so people. And what's amazing about this is when people tell you their names. Like 2 months ago or not 3 months, maybe about 5 months ago, Mr. Ng showed me a name card of one of the officers of a Sea clan in Singapore. When I looked at it, I said, yeah, he's my uncle, right? Based on the generational name. And just about 2 weeks ago, I got interviewed by a TV channel in the Philippines. So the guy who was interviewing me, he said his surname is Shi, same as me. I said, so what's your name? He said, I don't know. I gotta ask my dad to write it down, right? So his dad wrote down his name, right? Not the interviewer, but the dad's name. So when I looked at it, I said, hey, you need to address me as uncle. Right? So he was just smiling. And the very next day, I said, Angelo, do you have WeChat? He said, no, but I can register. What is this for? I said, your relatives in China wants to reconnect with you. I found them already. Yeah? So that's the power of knowing your generational poem. And in fact, another similar story, somebody messaged me from Facebook, right? Because of my page. He said, Nathan, I'm looking for my ancestors. I only have the gravestone of my father. He's about my age. So I said, okay, so what's your name? He typed his name for me. I said, your name is wrong. Why? Because the generational name was used as the last word, not the middle word. And he just laughed. He said, yeah, my dad was trying to be funny and so on and all that, right? So a few days later, he posted a request on my Facebook page to look for more information. So my response to him is, it's your lucky day. Your ancestors want to introduce you to somebody very important. That person is yourself. Here, look at the Ancestry book. Your name is as what I have told you. It's wrong, okay? The 2 words were reversed. And that there it was, Ancestry book that he has never seen or even known in his life. And basically, I found his relatives also. Okay? Now, so this brings me back to this topic, right? How to go find and turn over all the remaining stones. Oops, sorry. Yeah? So if you look at the check boxes here, we basically covered all of this, right? Old photos, ancestral hall, tombstones, clan associations, letters, tupu. But there are other things, right, which I will go through quickly. You have the documents, IDs, and based on what Eric has said and also Clara this morning, school records help. Right? Your ancestors would probably have gone to Chinese schools, go look for the report card or the whatever the parents have to sign for the kids to go to that particular school. So all those help. Memorabilia, you may find a seal or a stamp. You don't know the name, cannot read, you bring it to us, we'll interpret it for you. This, for example, is a keychain with the name of our ancestral village, right? The new name, Kan Ping. It's different from Quan Ping, but it's old Kwa Ping. Also, if your ancestor is prominent, you may find some news articles. About a year or so, we also found one guy whose uncle was an ambassador to Japan from Singapore. Based on the news, we were able to find his kin in Xiamen fairly quickly. Obituaries. Remember, obituaries are a treasure trove of information because it lists down all the people, your close friends of your ancestor, right? Your grandfather. These are the clans who he was associated with, his best friends. So you may be able to find that the children, the grandchildren, they may have some old photos, some old letters, places they visited together. You find the obituary, you may find the funeral parlor, they may have some records. There might be a guest book, there's a ledger. The clan association would usually donate money also for the funeral. And in return, they'll say, hey, by the way, you want to donate to our clan? That's how it works. So if there's money, there's ledger, there's accounts. Okay? So you check the accounts, you may just find your ancestor there listed. Okay? Other things like, for example, employment records, especially they work for a Chinese company. Like in this example, this is my mother's employment record with the school she taught. It has both her name, her origin. She was from Xiamen, Siming district. Okay? Other things like online databases, FamilySearch. My China Roots also has a good database of Chapu. Museums are very good sources. I've actually got in touch with a museum in Quanzhou. They already helped me with many connections. Okay? And of course, last but not least, DNA tests. Right? I say last but not least is because sometimes people are adopted. Right? There's absolutely no clue. Yet I have had cases where I was able to trace some of the living relatives of an adoptee in Hong Kong. I found their relatives in the Philippines, so we're trying to get them connected. Yeah. Now, so lesson number 10. This is my last slide. If you are not having fun, you are just doing it not right. Okay. So enjoy your ancestry search journey. Thank you.
So thank you, Nathan, for reminding us that persistence, even from a blurry photo or surname, can uncover generations of history. We are supposed to go for our break, a 15-minute break, but I think some of you are Chinese Ancestry Research, what do you call? Facebook members, yeah, and you might have some questions for him. So maybe we shall forgo the 15-minute break, and if you have some questions, maybe you can ask Nathan. Another thing is also, if you're interested to participate in the project by the NTU students, maybe you can approach them, right? So we'll resume at 4 p.m. sharp. Thank you. So any questions for Nathan, please ask.
Thanks so much, Nathan, for the talk. I have a question that is about records in the Philippines.
Sorry?
I have a question about business records in the Philippines linked to Fujian, because from what I understand, my great-grandfather had a seafood business in Luzon in the late 19th century.
Which part of Luzon? Luzon is so big.
We only know Luzon.
Luzon is about the size of Taiwan.
Yeah, I know. So this is slightly hopeless.
So what about this seafood?
Yeah, so are there any, if I wanted to start tracing maybe business or company
Which
records,
year is this?
Late 19th century. So I would say 1890s. Any possibility?
There are a few business associations you can reach out to. Some of them are members of my Chinese Ancestry Research. if the business is big, they probably are members of the FFCCCII, Federation of Chinese Chamber of Commerce, something like that, right? That's one. Number two, what clan do they belong to?
So that's the Ang clan, and I have the full name.
We have the expert there.
Oh,
Ang,
okay.
come, Albert. Albert has a basically Ang, so he's your relative. You just haven't found the relationship yet. Okay? Albert is one of our experts, and he's an Ang, and he has extensive experience in the Angs,
Maybe I can go and talk to him in person later.
So Albert may be able to help you with that. Yeah, so you can exchange contact later on, right? So that's those are the two things you can do. But there's a lot more, right? You may want to check out the Chinese cemetery in Manila. So it's actually a big cemetery. It's been there for a long time. So if the relative is living in Manila, most likely he would have been buried there and not anywhere else, because the Spanish would not allow them to be buried in the Christian cemeteries. So the Chinese cemetery is another place you can search. You can also get Albert to connect you to the clan association of the Angs. Right? So the clan association would have likely kept records. But what you also may want to do is search back to the ancestral village in China. The relationship between the Filipino Chinese and the people in Fujian mostly are probably the tightest relationship of any diaspora in the world. Okay? So when China was really poor, it was the overseas Chinese from the Philippines sending money. Every single family was sending money, and they remember that. So what happened is typically they would have kept records of the people who left, right? So the village chief who keeps records would likely have that. So if you cannot find them in the Philippines, you go back, it's like all roads leads to Rome. So you go back to Rome, you'll find everywhere else branches out from there. So that's another place to look, your ancestral home in China. Albert, any more suggestions?
Not for now.
Okay. I hope I answered your question. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, there's one there.
Thank you, Nathan, very much. It's very informative, wonderful. Okay, recently I just got back from Xiamen because last week was my first time visiting my ancestral village.
In Xiamen, is it?
In Xiamen.
Hesan, is it?
In Dentichun, Zhangzhou.
Oh, in Zhangzhou is not Xiamen.
Well, not exactly Xiamen, it's outside, like
okay,
an hour
okay.
away.
Yep.
I think put it there is easier for association. So what happened, I came to a dead end because the family that I visited where my great-grandfather lived, these are adopted, but they have no records of his name even. So I'm stuck where my great-grandfather is. There's no genealogical records because they didn't keep one, number one.
But you said he was adopted, right?
This family that's staying there was adopted by, or Lu Zui.
Okay,
In other
Lu Zui,
words, Lu Zui. So they changed their name to Fang so that they can, I guess, preserve the house during the Cultural Revolution. So they lost half the house. Anyway, long story short.
Yep.
But importantly, that they don't have records. And the only record that I know from them was that my great-grandfather was a government official and that he served the people in the Tenti Chun as like in charge of their affairs. And beyond that, I have nothing. And also the other thing is he was actually from another village, Tong An Chun. So and now I got no relation. No, is there any other leads from there?
Okay, it's a tough one, but I think one thing you can consider is the adopting family, right? So you said he was adopted by one of the
Oh, no.
families, is it?
He adopted family. He adopted.
Or he was adopted, no?
No. He's not. He adopted a family into his into his household.
Okay.
To become like a nanny. So that family stayed there, and they didn't keep any records of him, his name. All they know was he's like Akong, that kind of.
What's the surname?
Fang Peng.
Fang.
PNG.
Sharon, any suggestion? Come.
Okay, so what happened was, when I visited the adopted family, who adopted the name Peng, they says that the only lead with my friend behind there, Kim, told me that maybe they can try to visit this Fang ancestral hall, where I think it's general, I presume, and because he being a government official in the Qing dynasty, there may be a record.
I have a similar experience as yours, but not adopted. I have an ancestor who is a scholar during Qing dynasty. Actually, you can write into Beijing library. They keep a imperial record. So, but you need to know which Qing dynasty emperor the period. Okay, you need to know that because emperor, right? If you go Qing dynasty, wow, you go from went down all the way down to Tongzi or whatever Puyi, you'll be dead. You just need to find out which period of the Qing dynasty. Then you go to Beijing National Library. You can track. They have all the general name from as far in when I went in is from as far in as 三国时代 all the way down to Puyi. They have all the general name, okay, and which province they are in from, and what 战功 means that what how many war he has gone through, how many wins, how many lose, and where he passed away, the actual tombstone. They have one. I actually did that for my ancestors. But mine was not in Qing, but in Ming Dynasty.
Thank you very much. And the library is called what? Beijing?
Beijing National Library.
But you have to physically go there, is it?
No, you can go online.
Okay.
That's a catalog.
Do they charge a fee or something?
When you find, you need to write in, then they will tell you how much they need to charge you, but it's not that expensive.
Okay, thanks a lot for that information. And one other thing you can do, many people don't know this, but the government in China is very supportive of people looking for their roots. So they, in fact, open up their criminal database DNA for people like us. So what you have to do, you have to contact the local government, arrange with the Public Security Bureau, basically their police department. They will take blood from you. So don't do anything funny in China, okay? Yeah. But they will check it against the criminal database. They're expanding it. So it doesn't have everybody, right? It's not like a national ID card where you have a record of everybody, but I think eventually they will get there, right? They're very efficient. So you can give that a shot, right? A DNA sample. No? Long shot. Yeah, long shot, but you never know. Huh? Any more questions?